Hello. Just doing something a little bit different here in this video. This one relates back to the video we did, Could It Be? I'm going to expand on that a little bit here. It's my firm belief um, that, lots of worldwide problems going out there and a lot of finger pointing. And it's my firm belief, I'd rather put it as a knowingness, though people might challenge me on that, but nonetheless, I don't care. We all have a hand in that, all of this discord going on around the planet, one way or another. And so, I just want to step back here and I read the I Am Discourses, and in there it said, this is what it said: "It is unfortunate that the children of God have claimed ownership of the wonderful blessings of God. Selfishness is the root of all evil. And the motivating force behind that is private profit." I'm just reading that verbatim, not making this up. And I believe that absolutely to be the case, having been down that road of having a multi-million-dollar business. Well, we were doing sales of about $2 million back in the 80s. And, the businessman attitude, blah, 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 money, 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 money. And we provided excellent service, no question about it. It was definitely profit driven, and pretty well every business is. And behind that, excuse me, behind that, there are people. And even today, people put a value on their house of, oh, it's worth $1,000,000 or $1,000,000 or $800,000, whatever. Not that long ago, the value of a house was a roof over their head and a place to sleep and a place to eat and a place for the family to congregate. It's turned into this financial thing. So it's over time, this whole thing has evolved from Garden of Eden kind of concept, loving one another, to greed and selfishness, bottom line, and I'm part of it. So in respect of reclaiming your securities, is again back to the Could It Be video. I see a golden opportunity here for the people who have the heart set. I'm not claiming to be better than anyone else. The heart set and condition there to see that, yes, greed and selfishness is the root of all evil, no question. And if we lose that greed and selfishness, then everyone prospers pretty much. And there's something from, I think it was, remember what book it was I read it in, but to visualize everyone living in happy, prosperous, joyous homes, living happy, prosperous, joyous lives, well fed, well clothed. Well, as long as this private profiteering and selfishness as greed is in place, it's a blockage to that. To all of us experiencing that. Again, we got our 1%ers over here and the 99 over here. And again, I'm not blaming anybody. We're all here. I like the way Hugh Len put it in the Oponopono fella. He says, "You ever notice when shit happens, you're there?" So one way or another, the fact that we're here, we've got a hand in all of this mess that's going on, and the greed and selfishness, the discord, blah, 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 blah. So this reclaiming your securities can be used in a completely different way. And that is to give, I want to also remind people here something John F. Kennedy said, I think very significant. Ask not what your country can do for you, benefits and privileges, but what you can do for your country. And the Queen, in a speech, Queen Elizabeth, that is, it was in the 1950s during one of her speeches, Christmas time speeches, I believe it was, said basically, we must give nothing less than the whole of ourselves. And we caught on to that a while ago, and we tried to work that process, although we weren't successful. But way back then, we didn't have any knowledge of this reclaiming your securities either. To have the foundation of the underlying securities, the truth, if you will. And I don't like to use the word truth because the word truth has been massively abused by people. Lots of people claim to have the truth. I will say my truth, maybe not your truth, but my truth. So we have an opportunity here to use this information for the betterment of everyone else, to give nothing less than the whole of thyself, to pledge your credit, to cover the debts of let's call it the straw man, over which the government is the trustee, to help them out here. And not for the purpose of getting something in return, though. It's not that you'll lack, and this is, I'm not going to cross any barriers here, because then it goes right back into greed and selfishness, but let it all go. Let it go. Let it go. I read something the other day. It was presented to me. I'm just going to put this on pause for a second so I can find that. Just a moment. It was written by Henry Carvey a long time ago, and at the time of Lincoln and Abraham Lincoln. And what Lincoln was doing there was setting up the Treasury that it would pay all of the bills for everybody, so long as and there was no lack of limitation. Everyone was prospering. So in other words, it's like, I like the way he puts it. Like, this man, it wasn't the man, it was the treasury, but pledged all of the credit to cover, so the farmer had the means to grow the produce, and the mills had the means to get the supplies they need to produce the products, and the buyers and sellers had the means to buy and sell them and trade amongst each other with no debt at the end of the day. And this is the kind of thing I'm talking about here. This reclaiming securities information could be used for selfish purposes. I have no doubt in my heart and mind it can also be used for loving purposes, unconditional giving purposes. We can all pledge our credit to cover the obligations, but not with this, abuse where we're expecting, big money. It's not about that. We have certain necessities as men and women. We have certain necessities for life. Roof over our heads, food, clothing. People like to do stuff, so opportunity, and so that's the path most of us that I communicate with on a regular basis are taking this information. So where we talk about control, and this control is not to be abused either. It's not about abusing this control. It's just that if you're not in control, someone else is. So you got to have control over your life, no doubt about it, or someone else will. We see happening quite a bit out there. Look at everyone going through the court system. And again, I'm not saying any of this is bad. It is what it is. I think it's evolved over time through greed and selfishness, quite frankly. It's the root cause. It's in the I Am teachings. The discourse is selfishness is the root of all evil. And if people really think about that, I don't see how you can possibly conclude in other things. We have an opportunity here through this reclaiming your securities and proper heart set mindset to actually help. Ask not what your country can do for you. You see, everyone's politicians are offering you these little carrots, these little, we're going to give you a tax reduction we're going to save you $5 a year in taxes, or we're going to legalize marijuana. You see, people just, love this stuff. It's like giving candy to a baby. But it's appealing to I don't know what it's appealing to, the childish children in us, the greed and selfishness. I don't know, but it's the opposite of asking what you can do for your country. And we did that actually, and sent letters. How could we help? And but never really got responses to that. But thinking back, and that was quite a while ago, and thinking back on all of that, our heads and our hearts were not in the right place. We didn't understand. We didn't have the securities. We didn't know who the trustee is. We didn't know about any of that. We suspected, and I guess we kind of knew, but we didn't have the documentation to establish these things. Now we do. And so this information can be used, this reclaiming securities information can be used to do good. And the more people that do good, it's good for everybody. It's quite frankly the opposite of greed and selfishness. And I remember reading a book. It's called Babylonian Woe. You won't find this in any bookstores. It was a private publication written by a fellow named David Astle in Toronto, Ontario, actually, who by sheer coincidence happened to be in the town I live in, or I call home here, and met a friend of mine who I was talking about some of this stuff about 20 years ago. And this friend was, I don't know, 50, he is my friend's son, actually. He's about 16, 17 years old, working at his mom's restaurant, and starts talking. This guy says, "How do you know about that?" And he pulls out the book, Babylonian Woe. Well, in that book, again, it talks about a time when the concept of ownership was non-existent. So there was none of this mine stuff. So there's no greed and selfishness. In order to get people to buy into this present money system, they had to get people to buy into this it's mine concept. And there was kind of the birth of the greed and selfishness sometime way back in our history. Don't ask me when that was. I got my glasses here. Piece of fog right there. So taking all of these things into consideration, there's no question here that we have an opportunity to use this information in a constructive, meaningful way. And all I can tell you is from my viewpoint, and some of my friends who've really been meditating on this, just let it go. Source is source. I'm not saying you're God, but if you were the maker of this universe, if you could create this universe, what the heck do you need from out there? You just, you're the source. And as children of God, we're all, when we get our act together, can do these kind of things in the higher realms, but not at this low vibration here that we're presently at in human form, this atomic structure. It's this atomic structure is required to be on this planet. And we cannot possibly ascend into the higher realms, to the non-physical higher realms. There's tangible like here, but different, but and perfect, if I can put it. They are perfect. We're never going to get there with greed and selfishness. It just doesn't work that way. It's like a firewall. Safety system says, no, 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 no. We have perfection up here. Imperfection cannot get there until the imperfection has been purified. This is why the Bible talks about, in the I Am Teachings, talk about self-correction. And so I take to heart when the Ascended Masters say things like selfishness is the root of all evil. And I'm not going to argue with them. My older, wiser brothers, not going to accept it flat out. And I have other reasons for doing that. It's not that I'm naive and I just jump onto things. Just my journey. So this information can be used in a constructive manner. It can also be used in a destructive manner. And to each his own. But some of us see a golden opportunity here where we can turn things around. And 1 by 1, 2 by 2, 10 by 10, and which, as I say, is to give nothing less than the whole of ourselves, to not so much ask our country what we can do to help or what we can do, rather than asking the government, what you can do for me, give me a tax break, give me this, give me that, because all that's going to come back to you and I. Where do you think it all gets charged to? It's ridiculous, but lack of knowledge. People are perish for lack of knowledge. We can turn that around the other way and release or pledge our credit into the system to cover the obligations of the strawman legal entity. And now we provide the trustees with the means that they have the means to settle all of these accounts, so on and so forth. But it's got to be a total unconditional let go. And I don't know the truth of it, but the movie The Matrix, the third movie there, I see exactly that's what's going on when Neo finally said, "I know what I got to do." And he took the device down there with Trinity down to the machine city and had this little negotiation going on with the machine god down there. And all Neo wanted at the end of the day, all he wanted was peace, nothing else. And that's what I mean by let it go. Just let it all go. Source is source. If God didn't let it all go, maybe all this creation wouldn't be here. I don't know. I don't see how it's possible. So source is source. Each one of us is source, whole contributor on your account there. And evidenced by your signature, your presence. And so I want to just do this little short clip here. You'll notice there's no tags on this, reclaim your securities and stuff. Just me talking to you face to face, man to man, man to woman, whoever's listening here and watching, and ask you to think on these things, to give it serious thought. Selfishness is the root of all evil. Ask not what your country can do for you, taking handouts, but what you can do for your country. You see, we have the power. We are the source here, not the other way around. But if you go to your country, then they're going to draw on source, you and I, and to give you that so-called benefit, but there's a cost in between. When you see it, you see it. When you know it, you know it. So, I'm not here to preach to people. They come across that way sometimes, but not at all. You all have free will. Nobody's got a gun to their head here. I've been accused in the past of trying to convert people when I mention God. Well, you're preaching religion to me. You're trying to get me to believe this. And that's ridiculous. What are you talking about? I'm just talking and you're listening. If you don't like it, you don't have to accept it. But nobody has a gun to anybody's head here. You're all free thinkers and make up your own minds, and should make up your own minds, and not keep going to other people, for advice. So yeah. Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. We must give nothing less than the whole of ourselves. Just a moment here, one other thing. And yes, selfishness is the root of all evil. So the opposite of selfishness, to my understanding, is unconditional love, unconditional giving. It's also in the Bible about you should be a supply for their want. They need the money, and there will be a supply for our want. And they can release the stuff that we need to us, free and clear. But anyhow, I just wanted to do this little short clip here, and I thank you for listening, and God bless. Nothing else to say here. Love you.